Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Well, happy Saturday. You know, when a Saturday turns out to be really sad, I call it a Sadderday. Sadderday. It means a Saturday that turned out sad for some reason. Now, the good news is that the sad things that happened today are things that can be addressed. The bad thing is that they take a little bit of muscle. And I know what made me so sad today. To understand it, we got to actually go back a little bit in time. I love going out by myself on I call it a date with myself. And I've been doing it since I was 23 years old. I had a very toxic relationship with a girl when I was working on my PhD. I broke up with her. And before I knew it, I was having a great time. I was going to see movies by myself, going on vacation by myself. And that was great. And for a long time, I didn't think much of it. In fact, I took a break from dating for almost a year after her. And even to this day, I rarely think of breaking up with a girl as an actual breakup. It's just a change of relationship, right? So I haven't had a breakup in 13 years, in theory at least. That's how I think of it. So I routinely go to see movies by myself. I routinely go on vacation by myself. I routinely do various activities, go out to eat by myself. And 13 years ago, it used to be very unacceptable to do that. People thought you were off. Nowadays, it's a lot more acceptable. In fact, my last movie that I went to, Mario, of just last week, I hardly missed a beat. In the past, people asked if anybody was coming with me. This time, I didn't even miss a beat. I went in and sat down, and that was it. And I there is one date that I have not had success going on by myself. I've been to movies by myself. I've gone bowling by myself. I've eaten out at a restaurant by myself. I've even traveled to Europe by myself and Taiwan and Japan. I've even gone to, I went to the observation deck of the Empire State Building. Haven't been to new World Trade Center 1 yet. When I was there, it was still under construction. But I'm sure when I do, and I go by myself, people aren't going to think I'm a terrorist. When I went to the Empire State Building, people probably thought I was a terrorist, right? Most people traveled in groups at the time. This was 2013 that we're talking about. And so I look forward to that. There is one date that I haven't been able to successfully do this with, though. So back in 2020, after COVID had started to wind down and you could start going out more, you had to put on a mask, obviously, at the time. I had tried to go to was this 2020 or 2021? I'm having trouble remembering. It might have been 2021. I had gone to the Ellensburg Rodeo, and they had rides, and I really wanted to ride this Ferris wheel. And it said that you needed to ride with a partner, and it didn't seem to bother me. I thought that when I got to the front of the line, somebody would just ride with me. Little did I know that they were very unaccommodating of that. I waited 15, 20, 25 minutes maybe, and I walked around looking for somebody who wanted to ride with me. Everybody thought I was just wacky. I may have lost my cool. I think part of the problem was that after waiting 30 minutes, maybe I spoke a little bit too anxiously. It's hard to keep a good composure after that. I even went to the customer service. You got to remember, 2021, people were quitting their jobs. You had to wait a long time even just to get to customer service. So by the time I got to the front of the line at customer service, I've been waiting an hour to ride that ride. Maybe my composure was not the best. I gotta admit to that. I came very unprepared that time because it was my first time dealing with it. And finally, in despair, I walked out of the rodeo show, and as I'm walking along, I see this guy, a homeless guy, panhandling, and I came up with an idea. I offered him $10 and to pay for his ticket. if he would just come ride the Ferris wheel with me. And we had a nice conversation. It gave me a warm, fuzzy feeling that not everybody who's homeless is just a complete nonsense, right? And so, you know what? It was nice that it turned out that way. Uh, I was heartbroken about the situation at the carnival ride, but at the same time, it gave me a connection that I might not have otherwise came up with. So I gave the homeless guy $10, and yes, I know he might take it and buy a drink or buy drugs with it. But you know what? Those 10 minutes that we had together were a benefit to both of us. It's not the end of the world. My parents were very upset that I did that, by the way. But I think it's a net positive for everybody involved. Okay. Now fast forward 2 months ago, I was at another event like that in Globe, Arizona. I had gone to an art show in Globe, Arizona, and I decided to go to another fair like that. And I ran into trouble like this all over again. I came up with an idea. I would wait in line like normal. If I could get on, great. We can forget that this sorry saga ever happened. If I make it to the front of the line, I wait 15, 20 minutes and can't get into the ride. I'm thinking one of these days I'm going to go to the fair and try some kind of civil disobedience. Maybe tell the person, I'm going to ride the Ferris wheel. You're going to find a way to accommodate me, and just either sit down on the ride or at least get on the platform, so that he can't start the ride, right? And say, well, why don't you find a way to accommodate me? I'll wait here and see what happens. I've been thinking about doing that. Now, the problem is last time when I was at the art show and I was in Globe, Arizona, I was thinking about doing this, but I was in the middle of applying for a job, and I knew they were going to pull up a background check. And I really didn't want to tangle that up. Now, the background check is long since done. I have my job now, but you know what? I have anger management problems. I didn't want to mess up, which is what has been kind of holding me back on trying to do this. I need to talk it over. I might go see a therapist first and talk it over before I actually try this, because otherwise I go there and I get tangled up in anger problems. Not going to turn out very well. So today I'm driving down Scottsdale Road here in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I see another event like that. And I so badly wanted to go in and do this. But then I remembered I have a very important client on Monday, and I don't want to end up in jail, and I don't want to mess up and have anger management problems. I sat at the red light debating on what to do. The light turned green, and I actually sat there, and the guy behind me was really angry. And then I pulled up and decided not to do it, because I realized that I want to sort things out first before I make a mess of myself. And plus, this is really close to home. If I really do get arrested, there's somebody's going to see, and especially if I get arrested because I can't control my anger problems, because this has been bothering me for a long time. I know I'm very emotionally charged. And I decide to take myself to my favorite restaurant to comfort myself. And I'm commiserating about this and not really paying attention to what's going on outside of me. And somebody comes up to me and says, "Can I sit down next to you?" And I ignored him, thinking he would go away, because I'm just have tears in my eyes. I was thinking about this. I was thinking about seeing a therapist over this, because I want to sort it. I do want to try the civil disobedience, but I want to make sure I try it at the right emotional level so that I don't mess it up and create a bigger scene than it has to be and embarrass myself, more important than anything else, right? I want to make sure that I clear up how it's going to be done, what has to be done, and make sure that it comes out in the right way. Sometimes I get so emotionally charged that things don't go right? And so I was thinking over this, and this guy's asking me if he can sit there. That's the last thing I want to hear. Not that I dislike this person. I'm just not in the mood for this. If you need to sit down, then just sit down. I'm deeper in thought. And he kept asking me. He must have asked 4 or 5 times, and I lost it with him. And I said, "Yeah, please." And he thought that I had just uh, broken up with my girlfriend, because later on, after I had gotten up and apologized to him again, he said, don't, it's okay. I just broke up last week as well. You'll get through this. And I had to bite my lips to tell him it's a different kind of breakup. But what was really sad was, as I was driving past the carnival and the Ferris wheel, the fair is in here, and there's this big fence. It's like a school or a church, and there's a fence around it. And when I saw that fence, it kind of reminded me of Donald Trump's wall, or maybe the Berlin Wall, like a barrier that's keeping me out, right? It really had that kind of a vibe to it when I saw that fence. It was like a Donald Trump wall, but for solosexuals. That's what made it super upsetting, that whole setup. So after I argued with the guy at Whole Foods, I went to a bowling alley to relax from all of that chaos. And I had a great time bowling, and I scored a 189. Not my highest ever score, but a pretty good score. And then I thought about it. I really don't want to ride a Ferris wheel all that badly, right? It's more so that somebody's keeping me away from riding it, and it's upsetting me, that the disparity that I have. And to see that big fence, it reminding me of Donald Trump's wall. It was that was more upsetting than anything else. Anyway, so I had a Sadderday, right? If that's what you want to call it. Today is April 15, 2023. A Sadderday for me. Ironically, there was another time I had a Sadderday. It was July 4th, 2020. There was a lunar eclipse, and I had to work the next day. I got no sympathy of wanting to have a day off, because everybody was dealing with COVID issues, and I was the only one who was single who could work the next day. And historically, some of the most depressing days in my life have been Saturdays. Today wasn't so bad. It was just a little bit of soul searching, and I'll have to think hard about how I do the civil disobedience. I don't want to embarrass solosexuals as a whole. One thing I do have to think hard about, is whether I want to do it here in my hometown, or maybe go to another city to do it, and then have the news slowly filter back instead of bam, right? Because chances are somebody I know is going to see me get escorted out of the park, or worse yet, get hauled off, right? And it might get taken into the wrong context, right? If I do it in Wallace, Idaho, and I get hauled off, at least it's people are going to see the big story before it's just they see me getting hauled off, right? So I'll have to think hard about that. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.